if I'm walking by a system and I'm not familiar with it, ask what it is. What does it do? How does it function? And things like that. And it's so simple, so simple. It's the littlest things. It seems insignificant, but
Or
over time, it's just
it might feel dumb to ask, but you should ask.
yeah. You just gotta be humble, bro.
Yeah.
Just gotta be humble. Find a mentor, and there's different ways to find a mentor. A lot of people are the cool thing about HVAC is many people will share their knowledge for free, especially if you work for the company. They want you to learn. They want you to learn as fast as possible because it benefits
Mhm.
them. I feel like I have grown so much faster by having people that are way smarter than me surrounding myself around people that are 3 times smarter than me or whatever, to learn
You
from
never
them
want to be the
and ask
smartest
so many
person in the room.
questions. I completely agree. And if you think you
Well,
are, you're probably the stupidest.
yeah.
Number one thing would just be to look inward. If you're facing obstacles in the trade, look inward. The reflection, the world, your outside world is just a reflection of what's going on inside of you, your mental state, your emotional state, and you're going to project that into the world. But when you're able to take a break, slow down, and if you feel disappointed, just realize that you do have power over your circumstances. Most circumstances you have power over. So what positive things can you do to change it?
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades podcast. I'm your host, Adrian, and I'm an HVAC business owner here in South Texas. I do, a little bit of content creation and things of that nature online. On this podcast, we interview a lot of tradespeople from many different trades, business owners, people in manufacturing, people in software companies, new technicians, older technicians, people that start at 18, 16 even, and people that start in their 40s and 50s. So plenty of good conversations to be had with good people and a lot of good stories that maybe you would relate to. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any other location, please leave us a review. We hope to earn those 5 stars, and I really have fun doing this podcast. I appreciate everybody that watches or listens and makes this what it is. And don't forget to check out HVAC Nights every Thursday night. Me and Jake host a live podcast weekly, and you can also check out merch from my store, the HVAC Nights, the nightwear, any of that at reliablehvacr.net. I also want to thank our sponsors that help keep this thing going. Jobber is our favorite CRM. I've tried different ones until finding Jobber that kind of controls the chaos that it is running a business and still being in the field and trying to get all the billing, quoting, submitting everything that you need to do outside of the field. And with Jobber, we do our maintenance contracts, we do our invoicing, our quoting, following up with customers to get reviews. That has helped our business a lot. And it offers website building and a whole bunch of AI features now baked in, and you can also do add-ons if you have any other software that you want, because they do work with a lot of marketing tools and things, AI receptionists and things like that. So check out Jobber for yourself, see if it helps your business. You get a 2-week free trial and a special discount if you use the link down below. Vito Pro Pack is also a supporter, and I can tell you right now, even though I see a bunch of competitors coming into the field, they are still hands down the best tool bags that you can buy. They are an investment, I understand that, but once you try one, like I did back during COVID, you won't want to use any other tool bag. And the thing is, they have so many products now that you can find the one that is perfect for you. So make sure to check out Vito Pro Pack at your supply house or go to vitopropack.com. True Tech Tools has a lot of their stuff as well. Go check out their website to make sure that you can find the perfect bag for yourself. You won't regret it. And if you guys run your own business, have you heard of CallRail? They are a call tracking service to help you with marketing needs. One of the things that I've heard a lot of is how to get customers, how to get your name out when you're just starting your business. Call tracking and marketing is a big deal, and it's helped us get our name out. And they also introduced this voice assist to help small businesses out when you can't hire or afford to hire a receptionist or even an office space to have this receptionist. So with CallRail in place, they can not only track your calls and tell you what advertisements you're using work or don't work, so you know where to spend your money, backed by data and analytics. And if you're not online, you don't exist in today's world. But they also do this voice assist receptionist that can answer the calls whether you're off, your after hours, weekends with your family, holidays, whatever it is, you're on vacation, you want to take some time off, you still need someone to answer the phone. And in my opinion, in our experience, it's actually helped weed out the good customers from the bad and, spam type of calls that we get. It actually does work. So if you guys want to check it out for yourself, make sure to check out callrail.com. I'll leave a link where you can get a free trial and try out either tracking or the voice assist for yourself and see if you like it and if you can implement it in your business. But trust me, it's going to help you guys quite a bit. Local HQ has been a big help in our marketing and SEO. So they have built our website, they have built our searchability, they have built our Google business profile. And without that, I don't think our phone honestly would have been ringing off the hook the way it is right now. We look professional, everything's in place for customers to find us online, and that is thanks to Local HQ. They are a marketing company that is tailored to the trade. So if you want more information, check out the link below and mention me or the Reliable Trades podcast and get 2 months of SEO for free. All right. What is up, man? How are you?
I'm doing awesome, Adrian. Thanks for having me on. Good to see
I
you, man.
appreciate you taking the time. It's Michael, right? It's just with a K instead?
It's Mikhael, so it's spelled like Michael,
Mikhael.
but it's a K instead of a C.
Now I remember hearing E say that. Mikhael. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So is that mikHVAC then? Or how would you say that?
It's like mikHVAC. That's how I pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot, but it's what I could come up with.
So how have you been? How has work been? And how are things going?
Dude, we're going into the slow season right now, so I
Yeah.
haven't worked at all this past week. It's been a little bit tough, but keep yourself busy. That's why I love creating content. It's because when you have free time, it's not like you're too worried about it. You're like, okay, I have other things to do. I can edit, make some videos, come up with some video ideas. You just find another way to keep yourself engaged.
That's a whole other job when you decide to do the content stuff. I know you just started, but I'm sure you've seen, because you've been putting out reels and these little videos here and there, and it's filming, editing, going through it, and making sure you like it and post it and all that.
Absolutely, it's a whole process, and it's funny because you spend so much time, filming and editing, putting out videos, and then you put out a new video and you look at some of your old ones and you're like, man, that video was so trash. And you did it like a
Okay,
week ago.
you're already seeing that. I was having to do that today. I was just talking about this here because I needed to turn in like analytics to some of my sponsors and stuff. And some of the videos are from like 6 months ago. It's not even that long ago. And I'm like, man, because I've been trying to like upgrade here and there cameras and different areas that I film in, and trying to keep it fresh and always just trying to be better. That's how I look at the content, how I look at being an HVAC tech, being a business owner. Same mindset you can apply to everything. And yeah, I was like, man, my videos suck. And that was like 6 months ago. And I can imagine, I don't personally, because I always evaluate my content every now and then, and my channel as a whole. I hate going back to look at like videos from when I started, and it's just difficult to watch sometimes because I'm like, man, I had barely nothing, didn't know much, and I just went with it, and it's evolved into what it is now.
Absolutely, man. And you're doing a great job. You're definitely setting an example for us young ones that are in the HVAC community. And yeah, it's like that. We try to get better every single day. We have so many examples. I feel like I'm always like competing with other creators, even though I'm like still small. I'm still competing with other creators when it comes to growth. And it's like, okay, they're doing this. Okay, how can I implement this in my own
Yeah.
way to make my own content better? So It's getting better every single day. I never feel like I'll be at the point where I'm like, okay, yep, I got it. But it's
No.
just
E-
continual
Every
process.
every few months, I get something like I get the camera I want, or I get this, or I figure out how to edit something, and I'm like, okay, that's what I've been wanting to do, and then it's like, you know, but that's still never good enough. You're always trying to get better, and I do the same thing with because what I've been trying to tell people is like, because I've always treated content as like a business. So like when I started, I had like an email just for that content, side of things, and I had things in place because I'm like, eventually it could turn into something. Try to keep it separate from my actual business that I run, and then later now I'm trying to tie it back into it. Like I've always thought of it as its own little business, and a lot of things apply across, you know, running both of these things. It's like you always want to get better, and then you always want to what was I gonna say? You always look at your competition because you mentioned that right now, like trying to see how others are growing, what they're doing, what's trending, what works, what do people want to see. You can look at all these things and look at your peers, and it's like a friendly competition. It's never anything bad. I have always said I'm everybody's biggest cheerleader. I love seeing the growth in the community, which is like booming right now. There's a ton of people in it right now doing HVAC content, and I love it. And
Hmm.
I do that for my business too. And I go look at, how are people advertising their HVAC business? How are they wrapping their vans? How are they, you know, handling their team and their work? And it kind of goes hand in hand, and it's helped me do both.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you said it. It's a community. So all of us want to grow because the more that we grow, the more of us there are to support each other. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to, building this business, and I do view it that way also, my content as a business, a separate entity for myself, as a personal brand, of course, but building it into something that will continue to influence those young guys that are still trying to get into the trade, graduating high school. I want them to view HVAC as, me and eSquawk share the same viewpoint on this, view the trades as a first choice instead of just a backup plan.
Yeah. And that is a good segue. I mean, we have a ton to talk about that I'll bring up, but that is a good segue into if you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do, who you are,
Yes.
and maybe we'll get into how you got into HVAC.
Yeah, I probably should have started with that. Sorry, everybody, but
No,
my
it's
name is
fine.
Mikhael Collier. My name is Mikhael Collier. I currently am in the position as an HVAC installer. I've been in the trade for about 2 years now. I've been at three different companies, so that's a little bit of a different story. But yeah, I'm young. I'm 19 years old, and I'm looking forward to, starting my own company sometime in the near future.
And how did you get into HVAC?
I got into HVAC, and actually kind of the opportunity came to me. So I wasn't necessarily always viewing myself as going into the trades, but as a young kid, I always knew that I wanted to start my own business of some sort. Now, my uncle, he works in HVAC, he has his own company, and I kind of saw like the lifestyle that he lives. He's very comfortable, he doesn't worry too much about his finances. And I was like, okay, I always viewed it as an option. If I need to, I could work for him. So one summer, I did end up going to Las Vegas. That's where he has his company, and working for him for a summer. And I was like, okay, it was hot out there, and it was a lot of hard work. Very hot out there, like
Yeah.
115 degrees, man. Being up on those roofs and in those attics. But I was like, okay, like I feel like I could do this. So when I got back, a buddy of mine and he squawk, they were at the same company, and they needed help for a couple jobs. So I was like, okay, no, I'll just help you guys out. And then eventually, Eastquak was trying to look. He was looking to leave and go to a bigger company, for his growth. And he was like, dude, you could swoop up there and take my position. So that's exactly how I started. It was a small company. I'm located in the Inland Empire, so a smaller company in the area. And I started working there as a HVAC apprentice.
There you go. Opportunity is always great, and that's true. Like a lot of because even in my family, there's been electricians and other trades, mechanics, and maybe not so much the mechanics, but the electricians and those kind of main core trades. Like you see them, and they work. I mean, they work so hard, and they they get home tired. I saw it with my dad too. They worked all hours and all that, but they never really struggled much. They always had, you know, demand as far as like getting work and, you know, getting paid fairly. And it's always a good, like you said, it should be a good first option, not a backup plan. But that's always a good thing to get into as a trades. And I'm glad that you guys are kind of emphasizing that, because that's always been my kind of thing too. Is like, I wish I would have known about this sooner. I wish, you know, more kids would know about it. And if, you know, my kids get into it, that's great. I would teach them everything that I know and get them into it. And there's nothing like running your own business, you know, my, except for the headaches and all that side of things, but like, you know, the freedom and being able to, you know, build something yourself, that's always like the best feeling. So did you know that another sponsor of the show, Diversitech, is probably in a lot of y'all's vans? They are the umbrella that is Master Care Cleaners, Packard Parts, Hillmore Tools, Fresh Air UV, Swoosh, Quick Sling, Speed Clean, Assurity, and Spin Tools. I have almost something from all of those brands in my van ever since we've started. Packard is a big one for us as far as parts. They usually have something that we would need on a day-to-day basis. So the next time you're replacing parts, maybe look at the name and see if it's one of those. They are your one-stop shop for everything HVAC, and they have you covered for your everyday HVAC needs.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're so right on that. You got to take the bad along with the good. And there's so many aspects of, you know, being in the trades and being your own business owner, especially with the way that the world is going nowadays with AI taking over. Probably was another reason why I was like, okay, I need to, in my mind, be in a field where my role is pretty much irreplaceable for the time being. Now they are making robots that can clean your house, but as far as I know, there's no robots that can work on your air conditioners. So
They're trying to make these robots that
yeah,
I've seen that can like build a section of the house or put up bricks, or I've seen some weird videos on these little robot things. But like, servicing is a whole different thing. Like building, I do feel bad a little bit for like the construction of stuff, because on the construction side, because we have them here now, and I'm in a small town in Texas. You're in the California area, right? So, and earlier you were talking about Ewok does HVAC. I know he has a big following as well, and you know, you're working with him over there. I'm in a small town and I'm seeing it here too, because we're growing a lot. Like the what do you call it? The 3D printing buildings now, where they got one machine and it's like it needs like maybe three operators, and they built a Starbucks. They're starting to build homes with it, and people that they've interviewed people that live in those homes, and they said they like it. It's insulated well. To me, it looks ugly, but it's a whole different thing. And that the construction side is seeing a little bit of that automation and robot technology in it, but servicing HVAC, especially being on rooftops and all this other stuff that we do, being in attics, that's a little harder to replace.
completely. And I agree. And even the human emotional aspect of what we do is something that you can't really replace. We have a comfort advisor on our team. And one of the things that he says is one of the most important things with a customer is building rapport. And as much as pretty much everyone uses AI nowadays, everyone knows about ChatGPT, but no one feels like emotionally connected to a robot. There's just something weird about it. There's something
Yeah.
about having a heart to heart with another human, being able to open up with them and have that empathy towards them that you can't replace that with the way the world is going today.
See, this is why I told like you and E and all these other 19, 20 year olds that are doing really well, and you understand the customer service side, because I didn't understand that at, you know, when I started at 20, and I was just in and out, and I focused more on like my actual work, which I mean, there's no shame in that. Like I did, or I felt like I did really great work. And I was always like, my work will speak for itself. And I had that mindset forever. But those customers need to trust you and be comfortable with you. And there's a whole customer service side that I just didn't get. And I didn't get till much later to take the time to talk to these people, catch up with them. Just even if it takes a little bit more time on the job, like, you know, I know you guys deal with it more on the residential side, like to, make sure that they're comfortable with you in their home or to give you more work, whatever, it is. And even ourselves, we've used AI as far as like AI answering services. And I just had a conversation for the podcast that'll be out before this one. We only use it for new customers just to get information taken down and a message. It's kind of like an answering machine, but like in real time, like they can actually go back and forth with it. I don't want it to take care of like all my customers because they would all drop us because they don't want to talk to, like you said, something that's emotionless, that can't empathize with them. They can't get their frustrations out. Like, hey, this is not working. It's been down for this long. I need you guys out here. Like, there's difference there. So we use the AI selectively because I don't want it, to I don't want to push the customers out because, like you said, the relationship, customer service, that is a big part of it. And if you understand it sooner or younger, you'll go a little bit further or excel a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great tool to use when it's used in the right place. You can't use it to replace emotions. Very good at data and analytics and things like stuff. Just the grunt work that you don't want to spend that extra mental energy when you could just have
Yeah,
someone else do it for you. But when it comes to things that needs to be done by a human, you can't use it.
exactly. And that's a good way to put it. And like I said, um, you are 2 years in now, which is I have all these people that I interview, and I'm always amazed when they say 3 years or less, because you guys, you take pride in your work. Did you do any sort of trade school, or did you just learn on the job? Like, how was it for you?
I did not go to a formal trade school. I just had a lot of mentors and people that were willing to take the
Which
time to
is
train me. So
very important if you can find a good mentor.
I agree. And these are people where even though I know that I'm at a different company now, I know that if I really, really needed them, I could still give them a call or I could send them a text and they'll be there to help me figure out whatever problem I'm going through at the moment. And I think that's such one of the best things about this trade is we're a community and we're here to support one another. And there's so many different aspects or different ways to get into this trade. You don't necessarily have to go to trade school. You can find an apprenticeship, or you could take an online course, or there's so many ways to get in. So I personally didn't go to trade school, but I'm completely fortunate to have landed an apprenticeship, especially straight out of high school.
And because we have apprentices now, which is a very weird and different feeling for myself, because we have been running as like a three-man band. Basically, it's me, my brother, and my dad, and then we had a senior tech not too long ago. So we've been 3 to 4 people, and everybody just did their own thing. And now we took in three new hires, and I've been doing a lot of training and trying to train them up and kind of teach them. And I enjoy doing it, or I find myself enjoying that now, like helping out somebody else and getting them up to par. Obviously, it's for my business, but I just think we need a lot more of that because back when I started, I've been doing this almost 20 years. There was no community, or it was very little. There was no people that wanted to help you because you're competition, or you're the young guy. I have talked about it plenty of times where I was 20. Technically, my dad would always tell people technically he's the owner. I'm like, don't say that. I don't want people to, you know, uh, I don't know, look at me funny. And I always got those looks. Oh, he's just the owner's son, stuff like that. And I got my license in my mid 20s, and even more so, having to deal with senior techs, and they don't want to help, or they want to do things their way. I've dealt with all that kind of stuff, and it was just a shame because I was like excited about doing this kind of work, and I had nobody to talk to, which is great now, finding an online community that you can actually like get the help that you would and to like expect from a senior tech, to give you those tips and tricks, help you out, where you need it, and not just kind of shut you out.
Yeah, so for those guys that are in the trade now, that probably would be my biggest tip to them is find a mentor. And there's different ways to find a mentor. A lot of people are cool thing about HVAC is many people will share their knowledge for free, especially if you work for the company. They want you to learn. They want you to learn as fast as possible because it benefits
Hmm.
them. It makes them more money. The more that you learn, the more you know, the more responsibility that they can give you. So if you take advantage of finding a high quality mentor that obviously has a lot of experience in the trades, then that will 3x. That's personal growth that I have experienced. I feel like I have grown so much faster by having people that are way smarter than me being surrounded or I my
Yeah.
me surrounding myself around people that are 3 times smarter than me or whatever to learn
You
from
never
them
want to be the
and ask
smartest
so many
person in the room.
questions. I completely agree. And if you think
I've
you
al-
are, you're probably the stupidest.
yeah. Oh, I've dealt with those people too. They try to see that was the thing. I was always a young guy, but I went to trade school and I invested in myself after work, which I'm sure you guys do too. And there's so many resources now, right? You can find textbooks still, but you can also just find everything online. There's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's people that actually, which I'm actually surprised with. There's 20-year-olds, 20 something year olds out there that I'm finding and following because they go through a service call and they show you everything that they do, their diagnostic procedures and how they would go through it from start to finish. That's a lot of value for a young technician that is on social media anyway, and they can use it to also learn. So there's a lot of different ways to do it now. And I can tell you one thing is, personally, I learned from mistakes, which is also effective, but it costs you more money and it takes a little bit longer than having that mentor that can just kind of not hold your hand, but at least like let you do the work and kind of guide you or be there in case you mess it up.
I agree. I One of my mentors, one of his things that he would always say is, Mikhael, I will show you the path, but you got to walk down it. So having a mentor, it does not get away from you having to put in that hard work, but it definitely will allow you to avoid a lot of the obstacles, a lot of the mistakes that are made by and people. The cool thing about it is people have already made these mistakes. So
Yeah,
there's
there's
nothing new
uh,
under the
there's a ton
sun.
of big mistakes that I don't want my guys to make. So those are the ones that I tell them to watch out for.
Yeah, so if you've already made them, you're able to share that knowledge with them. It just expedites your progress so much faster. And you talk about all these resources that are available to them, but the truth of the matter, really, Adrian, is not a lot of people I feel like are using them. You, it's very
No.
simple. It's very simple.
Yeah.
If you wanna learn, just spend the time, take the courses, watch the YouTube videos, read the textbooks, take that extra time, whether it be a couple minutes a day or an hour a day, however long you have to learn, make it consistent progress. And everyone's like, yeah, we all know that. But how many people do
How
you really think are
how many
applying
do it?
that on a daily
Yeah.
basis? Yeah.
So that was my thing is back in the day. I'm gonna have to get like talk like this now. Back in the day, I used
Your
to
unk.
steal the I used to I used to steal the manuals from the units, right? And I would take them with me. And I had stacks of them in my van, readily available if I ever needed them, and I would read them in my spare time. Now I don't have to go through that. I just have to look it up online, look up a model. That's why I'm always taking pictures of tags, even if there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe I'm doing maintenance or something super minor, right? I'm there for a drain or something. At least in mine, because I do RTUs and refrigeration equipment. Maybe something I'm not used to seeing. I'll snap a picture of the model number and I'll go look up a manual. It's a lot easier now, and I'll go read up on it because I see this is a thing that I've been saying a lot for a while, but more I'm trying to emphasize it a little bit more now. It takes very little effort to be great in this field. It's fortunate for you, but it's just unfortunate as a whole because you would want more people to try harder. It takes very little effort. It takes you putting zip ties on your wires. It takes you, a few extra minutes to put all the screws back. There's a lot of little things that you can do. And one of those, like you said, is just, you know, using these resources because they are literally at your fingertips.
Yes, having that thirst for knowledge, like you were talking about, is also is key. How many people do you really think are going to see something? And that was one of the things that one of my mentors, he was like, dude, you got to pay more attention. Because how many times have I gone up to a system and not known a component about it? And he was like, you could have asked me a question in that moment. Why
Mm.
didn't you? When I was doing this job, did you know the reason why I was doing every single thing? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, well, why didn't you ask? You were just standing there with your hands in your pocket.
Yeah.
So having that thirst for knowledge has been one of those things that I've constantly needed to work on. Asking questions if I'm walking by a system and I'm not familiar with it. Ask what it is. What does it do? How does it function? And things like that. And it's so simple. So simple. It's the littlest things. It seems insignificant. But
Or
over
it
time,
might
just
feel dumb to ask, but you should ask.
yeah, you just gotta be humble, bro.
Yeah.
Just gotta be humble.
You
Gotta be
got to
humble.
get
That's
over
all
it
it is. You
because
gotta get over it. You gotta get over your pride. Get over your
oh, that's a
ego.
big one. Yeah.
There's no room. No room for it.
And I've talked to like the first apprentice we hired from early this year. Like I wasn't. He was going with our senior tech, and then I started catching up, like trying to catch them at jobs and stuff like that. And I was impressed because he also wanted to know the why. Not, we tell him to do something and he wants to know why. And then how does that work? I'm like, that's fine. That's great. I will, you know, explain to you everything. And I've always been that kind of person myself where I could talk somebody's ear off about HVAC. I just always loved it. And just back in the day, like the customers would always look at me like, just fix it. I don't care how it works. Just fix it. So then I had to kind of balance the terminology that we use. And that's why I know some people get mad that I use the word freon. I'm like, that's what the customer knows. I have to talk,
Mhm.
how they understand. So I had to balance that. But now I get to kind of talk, a little bit more in depth with the guys that we hired. And I went through that with my brother, which I was so happy when he finally came on board because he went through the same trade school and I finally had somebody that understood everything that I talked about. Because that's the other thing is I worked with so many guys and we can, it goes back to the effort and how much you want to put into it. That's how much you get out of it. That these guys never wanted to learn about like superheat and subcool and why certain components fail. They just kind of slap in a new one. They don't go further. There was a lot of things that just didn't sit right with me when I worked with some other guys. And that's why I said it's unfortunate that some people don't put the effort in and don't use resources and they don't, better themselves because that could have hindered me. That could have been a bad habit. That's what I talk about too. I don't want guys with bad habits because then it's hard to correct that. Like I want to train up these guys, that don't know anything, which we're taking a chance on. None of these guys have done HVAC before to kind of train them up. And, like I said, some of these guys just don't want to change those bad habits. What I was trying to say is like, it could have hindered me and made me a bad technician, but I had to, try and learn on my own and kind of basically fact check what they were doing to know, hey, we should be purging nitrogen. We should be recovering that refrigerant, like things like that.
Yeah, and those little things are going to be what separates a good technician from a great technician. And then even on a larger scale, that's what's going to be the difference between $100,000 a year company and $1 million a year company, a
Yeah.
$10 million a year company. It's those little things. It's the 80-20 rule. It's the little things that will, and that's kind of like the 20% of that rule. It takes a little bit to get you to the majority, but if you really want to go that extra 20%, it's just going to be the other 80% brunt work to get you there.
So something that I've been doing more now as we expand and hire people is training. Something that I've dealt with in the past is dealing with customers and their weird complaints. Where we can get help on those two fronts is actually the software called LiveSwitch. Now, LiveSwitch actually helped a lot of big sporting events. So they have a very capable system in place to where they handle a lot of things during COVID for your NBA, NFL, WWE. Whenever they had those virtual fans, that was LiveSwitch. They also helped with the 911 call where they can have these video calls and different ways of phoning in an emergency. And now they are helping out home service businesses, because the guy that actually runs it ran a home service business himself and actually knows the difficulties and tasks as a business owner, employees, and all that comes with it. You need something that does more than just a FaceTime call. With Live Switch, you can do these video calls to any device that has a browser built in, and it is just a link that the customer or one of your technicians clicks on. Once you click on that link, you get end-to-end video. So if you're interested and you want to check out Live Switch for yourself, make sure to check out the link down below. And I think this is a game changer. And there's so much other things that I just have not even scratched the surface on. It has a lot of AI built into it. It is just meant to make this experience with your employees and technicians or your customers seamless and just a better experience for both sides. Yeah, it was just a lot of dealing with senior techs on my end, and then finally getting to do it on my own. I was like, when I get my own call, when I get my own jobs and my own service calls, I'm going to do it the right way and take my time and do it the right, procedures. And even if it takes me twice as long, like I want to make sure that I do it the right way and take pride in my work. And that has always, again, like the work speaks for itself. I mean, you need to be, if you run your own business, you need to take control of how you handle your customers and all that, but you got to have good work as well, because I've gone behind so many companies and I'm just like, what were they thinking? And then I figure out who they are or find out who they are, and I'm like, this guy has like 20 years on me, like what's going on here?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be that company where people can go behind you and then talk all this smack. You don't want that. And it comes really from taking pride in your work. And when you take pride in your work, you'll do it right the first time. And even though, like you're saying, it might take twice as long, look how much money and time you actually are saving in the long run by preventing all of these callbacks. If you just do it right the first time, take the time, pay attention to detail, make sure you cover all your bases. In the long run, you have to look at it from the longer perspective. In the long run, is that's where you're going to see the savings and the time and the money. And not only that, but you also build a good reputation, which makes you more
Oh yeah.
time, and it saves you more time. It makes you more money.
Oh yeah. I've gone recently behind a lot of them, and it's like, that you would think of the simplest things, and they just didn't do it, and I go in there and I have to correct it. And I mean, obviously it looks good on me, but it's just, I still get annoyed with those things, because I'm like, we, as a, especially with the online, like everything's online now, homeowners are seeing all the stuff that goes up from, whether it's one of us in the, what I would consider the real HVAC community, or you see like a salesperson trying to sell you something on Instagram or wherever it is, the sales tactics and the like those inspectors that I've seen. Oh, you need to do it this way or that way. Like everything's online, so you need to be careful with how you conduct yourself, because I feel like nowadays homeowners are a little more knowledgeable, because again, there's so much content online. There's a bunch of people with YouTube channels, and good or bad, you're going to find, a ton of information online, and you got to be careful with that.
hmm Yeah, a lot of people. That's what's happening. A lot of people, I feel like, are with it. They have an information overload. There's so
Yeah.
much information out there, and they don't really know whether it's true or false. But
I feel
you
like
have to
I have
prepare
to fact
yourself
check everything.
completely, completely. People will be spewing things out at you, and you're like, where'd you come to that conclusion? Where did you hear that from? Really?
Well, that's another
So.
thing that AI is ruining, is now you're seeing it on social media, making fake videos or fake content. Like I've seen it recently, or the man, what is it? Those AI videos where they bring back people that are dead and stuff like that. Like some people, like I see the comments and it's like, oh my god, when I'm old, I'm definitely getting scammed, because like this is a whole other level to what we used to deal with, like with telemarketers or email spam emails and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got it has personally gotten me so many times, man. Just these. these videos. I'm like, is this real? I literally just always say all the time, like, is this real or is this AI,
I don't
man?
believe
It's
anything anymore.
nothing, nothing, nothing at all. You're in commercial mainly, correct?
Yeah.
Doing commercial work. Yeah, so for us guys in Resi, it's a little bit different because it's not only competing with our market, but it's also talking to our customers. So there's gonna be guys that are, they're out here, they're betting jobs, and they're only making like what? It might be like a one man, 2 man show. I'm thinking
Yeah.
like primarily for installs, like 1 man, 2 man show. They don't have as many expenses as a
Overhead.
mid-size, or exactly, don't have
Yeah.
much overhead. So they're like, yeah, we don't care if we only make a couple
Well,
grand on
those are the
this.
ones that we deal with sometimes where like we do commercial and we've grown to where we need to raise our prices. And there's that infamous saying that the chuck in the truck, right? There's one guy that runs around fixing, whatever he can, and his prices are like half the price. I'm like, go right ahead, try it out. I always get called back after they try one of those guys out. It like never fails. I always have to go back for something. So that's why I've learned over the years just to kind of stay where I'm at, like what I'm asking, and just deal with it. And usually, uh, taking pride, believing in yourself, and just doing good work. It's like a karma thing. Like it does help. It does work out in the end.
Yeah, you definitely reap what you sow. So if you're putting, and you reap a lot more than what you sow, actually. That's the whole point of sowing. When you plant a seed and it multiplies, it grows over time. So it may take time for you to get to that point, but eventually it's going to be worth it in the end. So definitely stick to it and don't undervalue yourself. It can be so easy to undervalue yourself or just feel like, it's only a one-time thing, but really it's your
So you
reputation that's at stake.
you've had fairly good success early on. Like you said, you're only doing this 2 years. You've managed to kind of hone in and take advantage of what you got, your opportunities. When I saw that reel that you did not too long ago, like things you wish you would have known. Like I know one of them was the slow season, the slow times, how to manage yourself. But I don't know if you want to touch on that, but also like, is there anything else you wish you would have known starting in this trade? I know you just started, but for guys that maybe because one of the things that even us dealing with new guys is like the pay or the hard work that you start with. It pays off later, and I just want to know like if like what's your take on that or things that you wish you would have known beforehand, and just to help out some of the guys that are starting out.
Yeah, there's a lot that I wish I would have known. For me, I like to take into account my joy in my work. So I'm not necessarily someone that likes to, point fingers or blame other people if I'm not in the situation that I want to be in. I look at myself. Okay, what more could I have done? So that's probably my number one tip for people that are getting in the trade is there are going to be moments where you are upset, where you don't feel like you're valued enough, where you feel like you deserve more pay. I definitely have been in that situation many times. And the easiest thing really is to blame other people. Oh, well, my boss isn't doing this for me, and my boss should be doing this, and da 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 da. They should be paying me more. Why? What are you doing? How are you going the extra mile? What are you doing to seemingly deserve what you're asking for? So definitely my number one thing would just be to look inward. If you're facing obstacles in the trade, look inward. The reflection, the world, your outside world is just the reflection of what's going on inside of you, your mental state, your emotional state, and you're going to project that into the world. So if you're not getting what you want out of life, then you're just not creating it. That's it. Really just comes down to that. You have to be able to know what it is that you want and know what steps are necessarily needed to get that result. It's kind of simple. I'm a math guy, so I like equations and things like that. So 1 plus 1 is always going to equal 2. So I want the end result 2. Okay, what's my one? What's my other one? What do I need to do to get that end result? It's simple, but
Yeah.
emotions can get involved. Emotions
Oh
can
yeah.
get involved, and you can get worked up, and you know you can get disappointed in yourself or whatever. All the other things that happen in your life, they can kind of distract you. But when you're able to take a break, slow down, and if you feel disappointed, just realize that you do have power over your circumstances. Most circumstances you have power over. So what positive things can you do to change it instead of, playing the victim card?
Yeah, and we've dealt with it. I've heard it just in the like my messages and stuff like that about pay, and it's like, you go in there guns a blazing, like I want this much, right? Just because you made something elsewhere, and it could have been like a completely different job, and you kind of start over getting into the trades, unfortunately. But it is for better, right? Like your career could be better in a trade versus fast food or any of those, because I took a pay cut going to the trades from a grocery store, but I knew the trades was better than staying there my whole life at this grocery store. So those are the things you have to take into account. And even some of the guys that we work with right now, there was a few, because at first we kind of thought we wanted like these technicians that were already you know good enough to go out and do their own calls, and we had plenty of interest. But once they hit us with that number, we're like, I don't know if that's worth paying that much. And I feel like they were asking more than what they were making, and that's always going to happen. So we went the route of getting you guys, and they still had concerns about pay, but they have all shown us that they are locked in. They're learning quick. So we've already given them hints like you're gonna get there. Like it's coming. You're gonna get there.
Yeah, it's I something that I say all the time is that it's all mental, bro. And you got to begin with the end in mind. It's sure you got to balance it. Sometimes you need to take one day at a time, but also sometimes you need to look at the bigger picture. When you started in the trades, what was your reason? What was your end goal? And what practical steps do you need to take on a daily basis to get there? And yeah, basically, yeah, yeah.
And I love doing what I do. And I talked to one of our guys because he came from nursing, and I was like, I don't know how that's gonna work, but he loves it. And another guy he helped us before in the past, but he's gone through a few different jobs, like completely different. But he used to do like maintenance for this big company, but then coming back to us, because like I said, he started with us as a helper, odd end jobs and stuff like that when we did installs and stuff like that. And then he went and did all his other jobs. And when he came back, he was like, dude, I miss this. He's like, this is what I love to do. I love getting my hands dirty, you know, going to different job sites, figuring out something. He's like, I love this. And that other apprentice that I talked about that came from nursing kind of had the same outlook. He's like, I'm actually doing something. Like I'm figuring out things. I'm learning. So that is one of my things too. Is like you hear it all the time. Like do what you love. And there's a guy. I think it's Jeff Jdem HVAC.
Hmm.
You know the big guy on Instagram.
Yep,
Uh,
everybody knows him.
he was real blunt one time, and he's like, if you don't love this, you need to get out. He's like, you gotta love what you do. And I will emphasize that 100 times over because I genuinely love it. You are gonna have rough days. I don't know if you've had those already. Long days, frustrating days, but then you have to, have the good with the bad.
Yeah, it depends on what you're in the trade for. Some people are getting to it just because they want more money or they think
Money.
that's a good career. It's always has to be deeper than money, dude. That's such a shallow reason to get into the trade. My current boss, something that he always says is, we are in the service industry. So if you don't like helping people, if you don't like being in service to other people, if you can't take the time to realize that it's not always about yourself, then you are going to struggle without a doubt because you're going to succumb to your own feelings. You're going to be always thinking about yourself, and you're not going to enjoy what we do as a service industry. It has to be deeper than money. You have to find your why. It's There's always a deeper purpose as to why you're doing what you're doing. And majority of highly successful individuals have that deeper reason. Very few of them will say that that reason's money.
Oh yeah. Again, I took a pay cut. I stayed on the low because I've always been paid as an employee. I'm barely like taking over, but I always stayed on that lower bracket just because I enjoyed what I do and I was comfortable enough. And it also depends on where you live. Like my area is super low cost of living, so I never had to worry too much. I bought houses, I bought cars, like I've done all that on a decent HVAC salary. So I mean, it's there, and you can again make whatever you make out of this, whatever you put into it. So if you want more money, you can do more. You can find a company that'll pay you more. You can do all this stuff with time. It doesn't happen overnight, and the sky's the limit. I just saw one guy that I keep in touch with on Instagram. He has no shame. He hops if he gets an offer because he's in demand of because he does like a little bit higher level like supermarket and engineering type of stuff and all that. He's looking to make like $100 an hour pretty soon because he's just worked his way up there. And it's like if you want to do that, if you're willing to travel because he travels quite a bit, you can make all the money in the world.
Yep, that's exactly what I've experienced that firsthand. I've been at three different companies in the past, 2 years ish, and I've from when I started to now, I've already like tripled 4x my income.
There you
It's
go.
it's crazy how quickly you can grow in this trade, and but it does take that work. You do have to apply yourself, and I definitely will say that I'm fortunate to have opportunities and to have be surrounded by people that are supportive of my growth. So I can't necessarily say that it was all me and all just the
Yeah.
hard work that I've done, but definitely if you put yourself in those situations, then the opportunities will come for you to grow.
And a lot of that is giving a kid a chance because I hate hearing because the main thing I've heard is when they can't get a job, it's because they're looking for experience, they won't take me, and they've applied to several places, and sometimes you got to take a chance on these kids, right? Because they actually want to learn, and they might end up being your best employees. I've been surprised plenty of times with the guys that we hire that you would think nothing of them, and then they end up being your best guys.
Hmm. You want to know what's so interesting is I started at a residential company, and they started to during the winter time. It was probably about a year ago was when I was still there when I switched over to the commercial company, and the foreman that was at the old resi company, he got this job in this commercial company. I was like, dude, I need an apprentice. Why don't you come join us? And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll go in for the interview. I walked into the interview, and within 15 minutes of just chopping it up with the boss, they hired me. And I was like, there's no like formal application to this. Like I don't gotta like go through this long background check, like all this. And they're like, no, like I was like, why? Like you don't want to know like how long I've been in this trade, like what I know, you don't want to give me a test, da da da. And they're like, no. You wanna know why we hired you? I'm like, why you hired me? And they said, because you walked in with a smile and a great attitude. And that's what we hire off of. We hire off of attitude. Those soft skills are what is going to take you far because those are the hardest skills to teach is soft skills. Anyone can pick up a textbook and learn about superheat, subcooling, all of these, complex things, but not everyone has a good attitude. Not
Yeah.
everyone can be a people person. Not everyone can get along with other people. And it's just really those things that are often overlooked. A lot of companies, sure, they'll say that they want experience. And obviously, they want you to know what you're doing, especially if you're going to be by yourself. But those are things that can be taught. So you need to focus more on who you are as an individual if you mesh well with the company culture, if you're a person that other people enjoy being around. And really, just being a people person, those opportunities are going to open up for you to even grow at that company once you do get hired.
Yeah. Now, nobody wants anybody kissing butt or anything, but I do agree with you because
Yeah.
work environment I think is super important. So that does fall on the like the owner or the management, but it's also who they employ. So if your technicians are, happy to be there, they actually want to work, they do good work, they have those people skills, and they don't have to be the best people skills. Like I still don't, I'm still working on mine, but as long as you're likable and you can talk to people, like that goes a long way. Because like I said, I've worked with guys that hated their job, and it just makes everybody, feel crappy or in a mood, and it just brings everybody down, and everybody blames everybody. Like I've seen that, and that's why even like right now with the guys that we got, like their attitude was what intrigued me the most. That they were excited, they really wanted it, and I was like, I can teach you everything you need to know as long as you try. That's the main thing, and they've excelled. I felt so weird the other day, and again, it's just because as long as they want to learn, as long as they want to put time and effort into it, like you said, you can learn this skill, and that's what I've told people. Anybody can do HVAC, but I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds. But everybody can do it. It's just like how you put your mind what's your mindset, what are like how are you at work, and all that other stuff that we talked about. So these guys, the other day I went to an install that we had, and I hardly did anything because these guys were like, let me braze it, let me do this. I'm like, go for it. Like if you mess up, I mean, I'm watching, I'll tell you how to fix it, or I'll fix it myself. But I let them, and then I go inside, and the other guy was wiring it up. I'm like, all right, like, I'm just there to guide you guys at this point. So it's good to see, and it's just guys that want to work and be there.
Mhm. That is the major key. Having that good attitude, a likable personality, a hunger, a thirst for knowledge, and always being willing to take that initiative and learn more. Those are the main things that are going to make any company in any field at least give you an opportunity to show yourself.
Do you do install and service?
I do mainly install. So we do have some warranty calls that come in sometimes. So if an install does end up coming up with a warranty call, then the installers on that job have to go run it. But I mainly, right now in this current position, I'm focusing on install. And that was for a tactical reason. So as you know, me and Iskok will be starting up our
Oh
own
yeah.
company soon. Yeah. So he is learning predominantly the sales and the service side to it. So being the face, the front of the company,
Oh, I
and I'll
got
be
you.
doing stuff on the back end, so install and operations.
Okay,
So
because
you
I
probably
was gonna ask if you preferred one, but I forgot you guys are partnering up. So
mm,
that is the building block for your future business. Whenever that does happen, is
yeah,
you guys kind of diverse yourself there. Like you don't both do the same exact thing.
completely, yeah. And you touched on a little bit, and you're like, yeah, you gotta love what you do, man. You gotta have a passion for it. And I was like tempted just to disagree with you a little bit because I right now I cannot say that I love install, but
Okay.
I do love the trade. I love HVAC. I love working. I love business. So I am able to have
So
like to discipline myself
yes.
and to have that perspective and be like, okay, I'm not enjoying it now, but if I apply myself every single day in the future, I'm gonna be in the position to where I will be able to look
Well,
back and say that it was worth it.
I have to remember who I'm talking to. You're 2 years in. I hated my job. It's the first few years, so I can completely agree there. Um,
Yeah.
but are you gonna like push yourself to get through it? Because that could be another thing. Is I've seen it. I've heard of it. Is people that try it and then quit immediately, right? Because obviously those first few years are not easy. You might not enjoy them the way that you do 5 to 10 years from now, but are you going to stick with it? Because we've even told some of our guys that like if you stick with it, it gets better. Like there's no way around it. You got to learn. You got to because dude, my first 5 years I was breaking things and burning holes through copper and burning out boards or whatever parts we had. Like I did all that. I wasn't enjoying myself too much, but I knew enough I knew enough to be dangerous. I knew enough to kind of keep up in the service work that we did, and I was like, eventually it's going to get better. I just kept telling myself that, and eventually it did.
Hmm. That's exactly what it is. I you begin with the end in mind, and if you're willing to commit yourself to something long enough, and obviously, HVAC is worth it. And if you commit yourself to something long enough, eventually you'll be in that situation where you're like, okay, like I put in all of that hard work in the past, but now it's my time to not necessarily relax, but you don't gotta be 100% in top gear all the time. You still you can enjoy your time more, enjoy your life more, and that's really what everyone wants. Work hard in your 20s or in your teens,
Yeah,
so that you can enjoy your 30s, 40s, and so on.
that should be the mindset because I tell you, man, like when I tell people take advantage when you're young, like try to learn everything you can because I can't imagine. Not to say you can't start later, because I've had plenty of people on the podcast that start in their 40s and 50s, which is perfectly fine. But I know myself, I wouldn't be able to do it later. I took advantage of my early years before I had kids, before everything else, like, you know, dedicating that time and all that effort into it and really like diving into it. So take advantage when you get into it and keep that hunger. And obviously it pays off later. And I think most people understand that. Like you need to work hard and then it pays off. Like you said, your 30s and 40s. Like, and I always go back to this one TikTok from Refrigeration Man because he made this like meme video of him driving to a job, and when you first start in the trade, you're like panicking. You're like, what could it be? You're driving yourself nuts because you don't know what you're gonna get yourself into, and then like once it finally clicks for you and you're in your later years, you don't care. You just have like no care in the world, and you just get there and you do your job. Like that's the benefit that you get, doing it for a few years and learning everything you can early, making those mistakes early that you'll never do again. That's what you work to, is like, you enjoy yourself and you're not worried about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, everyone's been there. Everyone's been young and dumb and making mistakes. But eventually, you get to a point where you're not making as many mistakes. Things may come up every once in a while, but not only that, but you're also in a position to train other people, like we were talking about earlier, to prevent them from making those same mistakes. And not, it's kind of weird because you were once in that position making all the same mistakes, and now someone,
Yeah.
you're able to teach someone else.
Yeah, it's such a weird feeling. I've said it a couple times already, but like I found, because this was the first year that we've really hired like that many people, and it's just like, oh, okay, now I'm the one, trying to train them up and teach them what not to do and how to do it. So it's been a completely different feeling, but it's a good feeling.
Yeah. What would you say is one of the main things that attributed to your growth so fast?
Like me as a technician coming up,
Uh,
or
Not
as
like
a
even
business
as
owner.
as a business owner in your company.
Just I guess you gotta always look from the outside and kind of, because I always like to evaluate things, and I've talked about that earlier with my channel, with my business. You got to look at yourself and be realistic and be honest. Like, how are you as a person, a business owner, a company? You look at all these things. So I have a different scenario because technically it's my dad's company and he started it, right? We are partners because he does not do HVAC, but a lot of it still has to go through him. So there's been times where I'm trying to make these changes that I think will pay off, and he's a little resistant. So there's always been that dynamic. But it's keeping up with the times, and it's like a lot of the stuff I've noticed you can apply to being a technician or being a business owner is keeping up with the times, the technology, using every resource at your fingertips. So the biggest thing is, like, when we started, it was all word of mouth, which is still a great way to get business. And in the past few years, I've been, getting back into like, should we do online marketing? Should we do other things outside of that, and it's actually worked for us now. In the past, it might not have worked, but now you have to think everybody's on social media. So these are like little changes that we make that we have to look at ourselves and kind of some of it's also just taking chance, but like looking at ourselves and telling ourselves like what will work, what will get our name out there. And lately my thing has been I want to be known. I want a big brand. I want brand awareness. I want everybody to know who we are, even if we don't do residential or any other kind of work, and build that name and brand, and good things will come. So that's kind of been our thing. And just I because I've been asked to do podcasts, like business podcasts, like to be a guest on them, and I'm like I always tell these guys, I'm like, I'm no business guru. It's just two guys winging it for the past 20 years.
Wow. Wow, that's inspiring, bro. That is awesome.
It
And
doesn't
one of the
take
things that
much.
you talk about.
It doesn't take much, man. I am proud of my dad for starting this, and what I've told those guys recently that want me to be on their podcast, like, I can talk about the 20 years in business that we've been in and the ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. Being resilient and not giving up is one thing too. But proud of him for starting it, and us being in business for 20 years, I think speaks volumes, right? Like not a lot of companies make it after, I think it's like 3 years. So all of that, and my dad didn't know a lick of accounting or any business classes or anything. He literally I had to go pick him up from his job because he says he quit. They said they fired him. I don't know the story, but I picked him up and he's like, I got to start my business now because, now's the time. So literally just doing that, his network, that's a big thing too, networking. His network of people that he knew, and me doing all the logo designs and business cards and trying to come up with unique ways to get our name out. Like that was our little recipe there to start our business and not spending too much money.
Yeah, running lean is what I've heard.
There you
Run
go.
lean.
That's the way to go. Too many
That's
people go
awesome.
out and buy new vehicles and then they can't even keep up with the payments, or it gets out of hand.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's crazy that you're doing that with a family member, because I've heard so many people that are
I've
saying
heard it
like,
both.
don't go into
Yeah.
business. How
Yeah.
did you guys make that work? It's crazy.
So I hear that a lot. And but you know what I've noticed? I feel like people that give you that kind of negative advice is like it's them. Like it has to be them, because I had the same kind of advice given to me with because I used to work, like I said, in my early 20s, and I had to deal with these old people all the time, and they would have some sort of altercation. They would tell me, "Don't have kids." That was another common thing that I heard, and I'm like, dude, you have that kind of you put yourself in that situation, right? Whatever bad thing that he was talking about, I was like, I love having kids. My kids are everything to me. So the same people that give you that advice, the same people that give you, don't work with your family, this and that, I get it, but it's your situation. Everybody's situation is different. My family is super close. So I've never had, at least with my immediate family, because I work with my brother and I work with my dad, never had an issue. It is different because I literally was just going through so our daughter is off of school on Monday, and I had jobs scheduled, right? Nobody else is here because everybody took vacation on my girlfriend's side. There's nobody else here to take care of her, right? I'm like, I'll take the day off, right? That's the luxury I have as a business owner to do these kinds of things, right? And I just told her, I was like, I'm gonna hear an earful from my dad, just because he's gonna panic, like, oh, what are we gonna do? But that's the worst scenario that I have is just hearing it from him. I got to every time I do something or have to change things, I get a lecture. That's the only negative thing that I
Yeah.
have. But other than that, like we get along fine.
Yeah, because he's always going to be your dad.
Yeah, and we
Always going to
like
be
we've
pops.
had a great relationship. So I've always, and I look back at it now, like he was an electrician. He used to work, I think, like at a hospital job. Like he's worked all these crazy hours, and I remember him, especially like on night shifts, sleeping during the day, going to work, doing all this stuff, taking us to work. I mean, taking us to school in his work van, like just making it work, right? Like I appreciate that more now, and I look back on it, and I'm just, like I said, I'm super proud. Uh, Not only that he started his business, but that I get to kind of carry that, because that was his biggest thing. Is his goal was to start a business, and he did it, and we've been open 20 years. And his other goal was to give that to his kids. So now that that's happening, I want to, because there's like so many companies buying up these businesses, right? Like buying up family businesses and trying to operate as so many companies, but it's really one company that owns them all. So my dad's gotten wind of that. I'm like, yeah, people have offered me, but I'm not going to sell it. And he's like, you better not. He gives me like another lecture, right? And no, I was like, my goal now is to take that and to kind of have something for my kids as well. So that's been my thing, and I haven't had no issues with working with family. I've mentioned this before. My brother and my dad cannot be on the same job site alone because they will go at each other's throats. But that's a completely different story. One likes to just shut up and work, and the other one likes to look at everything and get every detail right.
Yeah, so those different work dynamics, taking
It
that
doesn't
into
work.
consideration. Yeah.
It doesn't work together.
Something that something that you said, and I thought that was just so interesting, is like when people have given you that advice, don't work with family, they're just projecting their own
Yes.
view of the world onto you and accepting it as truth. So, what has been like what your number one indicator as to whether, to accept advice or just to decline advice? Is it just something that like just try it out for yourself and see if it works, or how have you been able to manage that?
It's mostly try it out for myself, but and it, like I do get, especially like I said, like I've always been the youngest around in the trade or just anywhere, right? Like people always want to give you their 2 cents, and I let them talk. I let them give the advice. I let them do everything, and I've never taken anything at face value. Like you have to live your life. You have to live everybody's different. So I will take advice with a grain of salt. And unless they've actually laid out, like if they went through it, like the other side of that is if somebody tells you not to work with family, like why? Did something happen to them? I want to know the why behind the advice or the statement they made. So if somebody tells me that, what happened? Like how did that happen to you? And I can tell you from my experience, because I was going to mention, like, they might have a story, they might have a reason as to why they're giving you advice, and that's kind of how I give advice. Oh, this happened to me. Let me just tell you about that, and then you take with it, what you want, and make your own opinion on it. We did have one of my uncles or a family member. I don't like saying who it is, but a family member that did work for us and then try to sue us twice because he did something stupid. Now, we have messages and everything that, we told him not to do this thing that he did. And he hurt himself. He was out of action for a while. He hurt his leg. And it was a pretty serious accident. Like, we've had bad experience with family. So we kind of learn from it. And I don't, because even now we've hired other family members. Like I won't not hire any family member. I just have to be a little more careful. So, you kind of live through life and learn from your experiences. And if somebody gives me advice, I just want to know like the why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dude, that's awesome, and thank you for sharing all this with me, dude. I'm looking forward to seeing even like it's weird because like I'm young, and you're like looking at all of us youngins and watching us grow, but even at the same time, like we're looking at you and seeing how you've grown from when like we started talking to you. So I'm also looking forward to seeing how you continue to grow, how you continue to build your own business, and then also set that example for your kids and give them something to, yeah.
I'm trying to lay it down, lay down this, because you can give them something that, like, so that's the whole thing. Like, if you sell a company, I mean, you have money, whatever. It's a little more complicated than that. But my dad gave me something. My dad gave me a lifestyle, a living, a way to work for myself. He's done so much, and I just recently had a talk with him. I'm like, how much, how many lives you've changed? Because at his previous company, he was training people that didn't know anything. He took a chance on, and I think it was a similar situation to yours, because I think he was taking chances on people based on them as an individual, not based on their technical skills, right? And he's like, I can teach them this stuff. If they have the drive and the personality, I can teach them the work. So I've been around, because I was still in school at the time, but I've been around to see it, because he used to hold interviews, at the house. He'd have people over, like, and interview them in our yard and hire them, or whatever. So I've seen that stuff. And he took chances. He even took chances on people that were, in trouble with the law. Like, they've had a past, right? Like, they have these other things that happen, but their past is their past. And, they wanted to work hard. And one of those guys was my mentor, because he ended up working for us later. And I learned so much from him. And he gave everybody crap except me, because I actually, like, wanted to learn, and I actually showed that I learned. And he was like, oh, this kid gets it. So I got along with him great. Everybody else hated him because he was a jerk to them. But he took a liking to me, and you just never know with people, based on their past. You never know how they're going to be later on in life. So all of that I've taken into, my own thing. Like I said, I recently talked to him because he took some of those guys in and trained them up and gave them a new living. And some of my family members that worked for him at that other company, they did car alarms, or they did odd end jobs, carpet, I don't know, like all these weird jobs, right? Now they have HVAC and food service careers at other companies, and they're making a big payday because, they got into the trade, and my dad took a chance on them. So not only did he did that for me, he did it for other guys, and I want to do it for the apprentices that we have now, and I want to do it for my kids if they want to get into it. It's a
It's just a
legacy
gift
thing.
that
That's
keeps
my
on
whole thing.
giving.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
What before we get off, what kind of is there anything that you do to keep your mind off of work? Because we did talk about a little bit, like, you might not enjoy your days. Is there anything that helps you get through that to keep you sane outside of work?
Yes, I have the mindset pretty much that everything is work. So I don't think that there's ever an opportunity that I really, just kind of just like forget about everything. And, there's always something on my mind, and there's always in my mind, there's always bigger fish to fry. There's always something to do. But something that has worked a lot for me is, I'm a huge Bible reader, and I'm very involved with my Christian congregation. So whenever I do get to spend time doing that, and it's really not necessarily like when I get to spend time, it's making that the
Yeah.
priority in my life. When that is the priority in my life, I'm not sure if you're much of a Bible reader, but there's a scripture that says, keep on seeking the kingdom first, and all these other things will be added to you. So in my mind, as long as I'm seeking the kingdom first, and all these other things, whether that be work, whether that be the things that I want to do with my life, all these other things will be added to me. So that's has always been my main focus and my main goal in life. And then everything else just kind of comes as a consequence. So that's what I do whenever I get too involved with work, or I get too,
Yeah.
overwhelmed. I just look at the bigger picture, even outside of the human perspective. Look at it from a higher source.
You're just always working on yourself, and that's a good thing.
Yes, yes, yes. In
And
different aspects.
yeah, and even myself, I think that's why I like this trade so much, is I could never just sit still. I've always tried to learn, as far as like hobbies, like other things, other little skills, and they ended up coming back to help me, because I picked up so many computer skills, helped me with business, and other things helped me with content creation. Like, all these things came around. It's just I've never been able to sit still, so I'm always having to put, and that's a problem I have right now is putting too much on my plate. But I like doing new things and keeping myself busy. So that's on me. We've been here over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate
Has it
you.
already been over an hour? What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
That's
tell people
crazy.
because we get into it and it's like, you just want to, keep the conversation going. Incredible conversation. I do think this is going to help a lot of people out. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know it's you got a busy schedule sometimes, so appreciate you.
Dude, Adrian, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, man. It's it's awesome to see, how you continue to teach us young guys and, take a chance on us and be like, yeah, let's go ahead and, have a conversation. So I definitely appreciate you taking your
I
time. I bet
think
you're way more busy than I am.
I have things to do. I purposely put them off and regret it later. So so I think there's a lot of value, which is why I do this podcast, and the people that, because you have guys that look up to you. I'm sure you've seen the messages. I'm sure you've seen the people that follow you and you're on Instagram? Are you on any other platform?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Okay, I'll make sure to link all those down below because, like I said, I'm sure you've seen the messages. I'm sure you've seen people reach out to you, people that follow you, and I've seen it with E too. Like, you guys have an audience there because they see themselves in you, or you're right there where they can, be that tradesperson in their first year because you are in your first or second year, whatever it is. And I think that's powerful. I think that's, and I love seeing it. I love seeing the guys that, like yourself, like E, like HVAC Disciple. There's plenty, Trades Over College. There's plenty of people or kids that are doing this. And I see the value there because, I can only reach so many people. But if we do it collectively, we are able to reach out to every age group, every person online. You're gonna see one of us if we all do this thing together. So that's my whole thing, and I just whatever I can do to get that message out is what I want to do.
Absolutely, man. I'm so happy to be a part of this community and make a change, really.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you're thinking about it, I think it's a good trade to get into, especially HVAC.
You got to do it. At least try it out. Take a chance. Just if you do, just try it for a year.
Or you
So
can be
give
like
it a
my other
chance.
brother that tried it for a day and then quit. I mean, we still love him.
At least you know. At least you know,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna really know unless you give it a shot.
All right, man. Thanks again. I'll link everything down below where anybody listening can find this. Appreciate you again. Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.